My father and brother are, and I proudly carried my M16 and my M9 and shot expert while serving in the Army.
Thank you.
I guess I always figured that my ability to bear arms was protected, considering that our Constitution is what I and my fellow soldiers thought we were fighting to preserve. No, I guess the battle we should have been fighting all along, not overseas. But thank you for coming out today as we stand united for the protection of our Constitution. I believe some of our elected officials have forgotten that government is of the people, by the people, and for the people, not the other way around. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time that we hold accountable those who forgot their roles as elected officials and how they got there. Now, if passing the SAFE Act under the so-called emergency legislation was not bad enough, Assemblyman Felix Ortiz introduced legislation that, if passed, would require every gun owner to get up and maintain $1 million liability insurance policy. A bill that he says is designated to encourage responsible ownership of firearms and reduce accidental shootings. He says it will provide innocent victims, get that, innocent victims of firearm incidents compensation for medical care and recovery. If that isn't ridiculous enough, he makes an attempt to equate that bill to having homeowners and vehicle insurance. Out of curiosity, does anyone know what other bills were deemed emergency legislation? In other words, that you didn't have an input that was passed? A bunch of them, exactly. For example, the same-sex marriage bill, the pension reform, and requiring annual teacher evaluations, and in some years, part of the state budget. Now, I am by far a historian, and I know that the year 2010 was so very long ago, but I am almost certain that in 2010, the U.S. Supreme Court officially established the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to possess a firearm, and that the Second Amendment limits state and local governments to the same extent that it limits, that it prohibits the federal government from infringing on our Second Amendment. You know, it really seems that President Barack Hussein Obama and Governor Andrew Cuomo somehow forgot about that ruling. You know,
Triple back to Kanye!
God bless our elected officials. I truly believe that there are many who are proven servant leaders. And even those who aren't, I have to believe that at some point they truly believed in our Constitution. But how hypocritical of elected officials such as Assemblyman Harry Bronson of the 138th Assembly District and State Senator Ted O'Brien of the 55th Senate District to make claims of bringing change to Albany when they themselves fail to represent other people and always vote as directed by their puppeteer, Sheldon Silver. You know, they and the rest of the ilk behave as if government was established to rule instead of represent. Somehow, having the majority has caused the Democrat Party to believe that they can do as they wish without being accountable to the voter. Well, as I mentioned earlier, it is time we begin to hold them accountable. We, the American people, are not going to sit on the sidelines where our constitutional rights, our God-given rights, the rights which many of our family and friends have died defending, are stripped away from us just because they say so. I grew up in one of the poorest parts of the city of Rochester, right in the middle of what many refer to